Hello, everybody. It is Mike Levin on Friday, June 24th at 10 a.m. I am now live, and you are catching me in the middle of some house cleaning where I have allowed a post to go out while it was in progress, a post from yesterday, as I was teaching everybody how to get LXD running under WSL2 on Windows 11 with Ubuntu 18.04. This is where the container tech is best. This is where Linux is easiest to install on Windows as opposed to Windows 10. And with the version of Ubuntu that doesn't throw all kinds of gotchas up when you try and do this process. So I gave it a headline and I gave it a category. And now I can give it a YouTube link. You're catching me right where I'm including the YouTube link. So I know I have it in my list of recent content here in YouTube Studio, so I can get the shareable link, go back over here, paste it in, get that down to just the video ID, which is easy to get from a shareable link. Oh, let me turn on the great Karnak so you can see my keyboard shortcuts, because this next keyboard shortcut is simply, after having a video ID, I do @Y, and there it creates embed code around it. So when I release it using @P for releasing this, making sites, it's only going to release this one site, my personal blog. It's done, but it's not really that quick on the web. So if I went over here and did a refresh, it's not going to be quite up to date. So consider this the before, and you'll see how much prettier it becomes in the after, because you see it's my 153rd post, I believe, in this blog. And by not giving it a headline, it just used that as an automatic headline. So that's what gets put there. And that's what will be replaced by the stuff I just put in up here. That becomes the headline plus title and all kinds of stuff. It gets put in this category. And so while we're waiting for that to go, I will share with you my latest writing here, staged and ready to publish, where I'll do select all. I'll do copy, and I'll go over here to where you just saw me kind of clean up my last blog post, and then I'll do J for journal. @J is my keyboard shortcut for setting up a new blog post. I paste it in. It gives me this warning about a large thing I'm pasting. And then the process you've kind of become familiar with. And this is where I just go back and make sure that I am indeed streaming, because by this time, sometimes my audio has not been turned on entirely, and I see that it is, and I see that there is no one there at the moment, but that's okay. We do Shift V, and then we go KKK all the way up. Wee, all the way home. VIPGQ, GG to jump to the top. Oh, insert some skit stuff. I'm going to do another one of those YouTube video inserts, because as I do my reading of this morning's thought work, because I was thinking to myself about home. Now that I have LXD working under Windows Subsystem for Linux, and I can just slam out the Linux containers, the little playgrounds. Oh yeah, let's show you that picture because it's important. First, we finish this before and after. Oh, 404, yeah, of course, because that URL doesn't exist anymore. We do a refresh, and there is the new page that has the embedded YouTube video, and it's exactly as it should be. And I go back to the index of blog pages, and on one of these, I have that vision of what I'm trying to accomplish right here. This is it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what I have achieved. I can slam out different Linux playgrounds, different tiny LXD, low overhead, high speed, high performance, full Linux systems, virtual machines without any of the downsides of virtual machines. And I am dealing with home. What is home, right? Because I have here a home directory, a very good location. And that is something that would be desirable to magically transport over to other locations so that I have the same home location, so that no matter when I duplicated out one of these LXD playgrounds, I have my home. It also wouldn't hurt to have my home/GitHub, because that's all my repos, and that's sort of setting the stage for this video. Now, one of the points that is going to be made here has to do with George Carlin. So we go to YouTube and we search on George Carlin stuff. Original. People like to put in original. He must have done other versions of it. Where you put all your stuff. And so I guess I can try and get a share link from saved playlist. I can even just right click on this and copy link so I don't risk demonetizing. Not that that's that important to me, since I make most of my money with my day job, which I'm very, very grateful for. Today is another day off that I put in for moving, and I figured I'd put a live cast in. So I do an @Y, that will become George Carlin's stuff skit, which puts this in perspective. And now we see if anyone's there, if anyone's chatting to me, and I'll put the chat over in next to where I'm typing. That did not work out too well last time. That's because it seems to have split the chat stream from me maybe prematurely popping it out, something like that. So I'll just move that down to about there. That'll show my face and the keyboard shortcuts. T-shirt reveal. Ever make mistakes in life? Let's make them birds. Yeah, they're birds now. Thank you, Bob Ross. You are an inspiration. Also a great example of someone who held a classical military Green Arrow type role and vibe, and then went completely blue circle in life. I'll intentionally turn off the audio for a moment. Okay, now I'm ready. Today I answer some of the biggest questions in life. Where is home? And where do you keep all your shit? Labels are stupid. We seek better symbols through example. I talk about the early day comedian John Belushi a lot as the ultimate blues viber. For a Green Arrow perspective, we look to George Carlin, the very person who cleared the way for me to open this post with the expletive I do. George tells it to you like it is. Go visit that. Issues concerning home and your true identity cut to the quick, as the movie version of The Marvelous Wizard of Oz says. George has some other ways of saying it. And call it what you will, we all go through several rebirths in our lives. Home changes. Where you keep your stuff changes. It may or may not change you, depending on what you want and how you let it. Dorothy was born into bleak gray Kansas. What the MGM movie did was not just an artistic decision celebrating Technicolor movie production. No, the book actually named The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, because they renamed that book for the movie, just like they renamed Alice, opened in a bleak black and white setting too. You don't believe me that the book was black and white? Well, here's an excerpt. When Dorothy stood in the doorway and looked around, she could see nothing but the great gray prairie on every side. Not a tree nor a house broke the broad sweep of flat country that reached to the edge of the sky in all directions. The sun had baked the plowed land into a gray mass with little cracks running through it. Even the grass was not green, for the sun had burned the tops of the long blades until they were the same gray color to be seen everywhere. Once the house had been painted, but the sun blistered the paint and the rains washed it away, and now the house was as dull and gray as everything else. See? So I'm not kidding. The Wizard of Oz book starts out black and white too, or at least gray. Ah, there's no place like home, right, Dorothy? At least for the mainstream movie audience that needs some good old American brainwashing. I told you I was born the same year as Unix, 50 miles away from Murray Hill, New Jersey, right? For those who love to bust on Jersey, we gave you the modern digital world, is all. And when Washington crossed the Delaware from Pennsylvania to turn around the Revolutionary War, where was that into? Jersey. So both your freedom and your phone or computer that you're on right now is because of what? Jersey. Well, my mom was born the same year as The Wizard of Oz, just 20 days before its release. I think to myself, her problems probably began with such a large cultural event stealing all the thunder of her birth. Additionally, aggravated by being the third of 3 children and the first girl in a family that didn't much value females, I'm told, being Hungarian pre-World War II merchant class Jews that were fleeing Europe. My pop-op ran a shoe store here in the United States, while his 2 sons entertained themselves by throwing tennis balls at my mom growing up, so I'm told. Ah, there's no place like home. Well, Dorothy and my mom escaped. Little known fact, Dorothy's experience wasn't really a dream. Dorothy's time in the land of Oz was not a dream. Unlike Alice's adventures in Wonderland, where she woke up and returned to her static state, Dorothy really went to the land of Oz. Located hidden in the middle of an uncrossable great desert somewhere in the United States. I suspect it was for the solar power or maybe geothermal energy sources for the data centers that Oz would require. Data center locations are often kept secret too, when they can be. Baum was a true channeler. Oz is real, and Dorothy eventually moved her doubting, because they didn't believe it either, Aunt Em and Uncle Henry there, who started out living in the fancy urban Emerald City, but ended up moving to a small farm in Munchkin Land for familiarity and comfort. Ah, home. There's no place like home, but it need not be bleak gray Kansas, no disrespect to the fine city of Topeka that birthed the Amiga computer's legendary video toaster. Home is where you move your Aunt Em and Uncle Henry to, even if that means uploading them to Oz. We'll deal with the moral implications of what to do with the original matter bodies in later posts. It's the information and living experience that such information induces that actually matters. Growing up and leaving home, still supported by parents, later supporting ourselves, getting your shit together for the first time for next level stuff, and doing that the second time, and doing that the third time, and rinse and repeat till dead. These are times we reinvent ourselves. You're never done reinventing yourself. It's actually a continuous process. You're subtly doing it right now just by listening to me. It's all been said and done before, but the Pied Piper gets to add their particular flair and charm to the music. The more you let yourself be static, the more forced and painful these transitions will be in the future. That's true for your loved ones too. The more you encourage them to be static personalities and to close their minds and to take up your ways 2.0, the more they're going to be pained later on when they realize it's not really their ways and it's not what makes their hearts leap for joy and their soul sing. You choose their home and slapped a ball and chain on their legs to keep them there as a little carbon copy of you, probably out of fear and not for the true love of life that you feel yourself. If you love something, you set it free. If the love was real, it may or may not come back to you. It's not about you in that case. But what about you? And what about that home transition I'm talking about? What's love-worthy? Home is where you organize your heart and mind and a little bit of stuff. Don't invest too much into matter. It's just a form of ball and chain. Left at your parents', it's held hostage. Move to your living space, it's choking. Put in public storage, it's a costly drain. Purge, my friends, purge and get down to what's most love-worthy and irreplaceable. That's home. Everything else can be reacquired or recreated. Better yet, just grab enough information about that stuff so it can be remembered and release the similar neurotransmitters in your brain as the original space-occupying boondoggle once did. Home is what you back up and get repos, folders, and directories. Then back up in remote repositories for safety, such as GitHub or GitLab on your own private cloud server or two. It might sound too techy or unachievable today, but that won't last for 10 years. Personal secure cloud servers will be as common as external hard drives are today in under a decade. They're almost there today with network application servers from QNAP and Synology and endless Kickstarter projects on personal clouds. Put all your eggs in one basket, then back that basket up all over the place. Next, curate one particular folder you call home. It holds your Vim RC, which is your Vim configuration. It holds your bash profile, which is your startup scripts and aliases, and a few other things such as your user local sbin contents. And so you can move that all between directories for a new home for the sake of backing up a repo. You're essentially packaging home to go. It's what the Jews did with the canonical 5 books of Moses and slapped them into that Ark of the Covenant every time they were kicked out of their home and had to go out into the diaspora. Get the most important basics. Everything else can slip back into oral tradition. If it was really that important, it'll return to your life. Can my entire WSL2 LXD host home be mapped or symlinked to my LXD home? LXD, so I guess what I'm talking about, I didn't get rid of this here. Can I map this home here to other LXDs? I need a transportable home. I need a magically transportable home so everything feels like home. Now then, there's also my GitHub stuff, which has a second line of defense. That second line of defense actually ends up here too. I don't really need to map it or symlink it. I can just clone a local repo and copy some files into that home directory. But symlinking is a really powerful way, or other means of sharing. But even if I can't do that, I know that I can at least git clone all my important repos into these different LXDs. It's a little bit of file duplication, not as efficient as I'd like, but these are the questions on my mind. There's no place like home, and home is wherever I snap my fingers and say it's going to be. What about the big data stores like big data API pulls and web scrapes? Can I get my NAS server, my personal cloud server, accessible to LXD clients? So in a picture like this, all this stuff that I'm showing here is really under one computer. All this is under one computer. That's all your laptop, if you can believe that. Now there's other computers out here that can provide such services as large database storage, and all these things can interact with them. Any one of these can interact with it. And so the question is, can I get this connection here to such external things as that may? And I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. But I'm not going to answer these questions in this video. It's too big. I'm just posing the questions to clarify the next steps in my mind and yours. And to show a few tabs of research, I can switch over to the web browser and show you it's really supposed to be working, and leave you on that as sort of a cliffhanger. And have it another example of go unstoppable me, right? That's home. Home is a generic Linux terminal. That's your Oz. And in a pinch, it can be a generic Unix terminal. Perhaps that's Wonderland. A handful of Git repos where I keep all my most important and love-worthy stuff. That's part of home. And then one special Git repo that has what it takes to initialize a new home to feel comfortable. That's what goes in ~/. A system to naturally slam out new homes on demand. That's LXD, and some scripts. And then resources, deep, inexhaustible, and generally internal resources. So they can't take that away from you. And as a bonus feature, stay alert to what makes you happy and what works best for you. Have another vanity home, or public mailbox, if you will, where you can collect, refine, and even advertise these things about yourself. Let's call it a personal homepage on the web. My name is Mike Levin, so why not have a domain name that is nearly a perfect match? But you can't have spaces in a domain name, and you need to choose a top-level domain, a TLD. What about mikelev.in? Okay, but it implies the wrong pronunciation. Emojis to the rescue. I have a mic. I like to talk. I love to talk into the mic. Whoops. Into the mic. I'm Mike Levin, so let's begin. Why would you do this? Why would you share your current interpretation of who you are and what you're about on the internet? It's to help satisfy the second tier of the Maslow pyramid of needs, societal connections and belongings. If you don't know the Maslow pyramid of needs, you probably ought to Google it up and take a look at these things. It's not necessarily truth. It's not like the full, word of truth. But, first you need air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction, right? So your physiological needs come first. Your safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, health, property. And then, I guess I said it's your second level up. It's your third level up. It's love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, and a sense of connection. Sense of connection. Circling in red feels terrible. Green with a bigger tip. What I'm doing right now with you with live casting is this sense of connection. I am connecting with you. And perchance to allow that to sort of leak up into this level. Respect, self-esteem, status recognition, strength, freedom. Someday I might approach this, but I am certainly far from that today, but it is a goal of mine. And, I'm connecting with people such as Scott M. in chat. Not right now. Let's see, are you folks still there? I guess I look at it over here. I'll move that to another window. And then this one to another window. Windows 10 ain't great, but it'll do in a pinch. I look over here at the stream and there ain't nobody there, but I am streaming. Okay, this is just Friday, nice weather. It's a little later than I started than usual. And, I connected with Scott M., who actually worked in that New Jersey facility where Unix was invented. 20 years veteran there. And, not only, his experience there, but he sounds like an interesting guy himself to boot. So let's boot. It's never too late to reboot. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps and defy the law of conservation of momentum. You can't really pick yourself up by the bootstraps. It's a ridiculous comment. It defies the law of conservation of momentum. But as I speculated in a prior video, perhaps that's what it is to be human. You defy the second law of thermodynamics as a human. You just might defy the second rule of thermodynamics, which is, things go to chaos. And you just might defy the law of conservation of momentum. That may be the purpose of sentient life. And it just may be the purpose of sentient life, to defy the law of conservation of momentum and to defy the rule of thermodynamics. Go to increased order and find the energy to do it from within and from out of nowhere. And there's no place like home. And by that I mean there's no place like the current instantiation of your system for defining your current home. It's inside of you, ladies and gentlemen. You take it with you wherever you go. And you do that in real life, as is my current phase in life. And you do that in systems, as I am figuring out my next step here. And that's where I wrap it up. Thanks for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope to talk to you again soon. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up, comment on the video, check out mikelev.in/blog, and all the rest of that happy stuff. Talk to you soon.